For 27 years, he sat beside her every morning. Now he still goes, but the other side of the bench stays empty. He never missed a morning. Because grief isn't about crying, it's about showing up, even when no one's left to see you. Every morning Henry walked down the same path. 312 steps from his porch to the bench by the lake. He carried two things, a newspaper and a single red flower. He'd place the flower beside him and start reading aloud, as if someone were still listening. Habit is what love becomes when time runs out. The locals knew him. Some waved, some whispered, but no one disturbed him. The world respects a man who has learned to live with ghosts. Her name was Lily, a painter, the kind of woman who saw color in rain. She used to say every sunrise was a second chance. He never believed her until she was gone. Their love had been quiet, not dramatica, 1,000 small gestures and a lifetime of shared silence. When she died, he didn't cry in front of anyone. He just sat at the lake the next morning and whispered, "I'll be here tomorrow too." And he was. One morning, years later, as Henry sat reading, he heard a voice behind him. "You read out loud, even when you're alone." He turned slightly. A young woman stood there, holding a sketchbook. She smiled politely. He nodded once and said, "Old habits die harder than people." She laughed softly and sat nearby. For weeks, she came to sketch by the water. Sometimes she talked. Sometimes she didn't. But one morning, she brought coffee. "You sit here every day," she said, "so maybe you deserve company." He smiled for the first time in years. Her name was Claire. She was 26, an art student who had lost her father 2 years ago. They never said they were helping each other, but they both knew. He talked about Lily. She talked about her dad. And between their stories, the lake listened quietly. Like it understood grief better than people did. When you talk about someone long enough, you realize love doesn't leave. It just changes shape. One morning, she didn't come. Then another. Then a week. Henry felt the ache again, the fear of losing presence. One afternoon, he found a package on his porch. Inside was a painting, the same bench by the lake. 2 figures sat there, one old, one young. At the bottom, her handwriting read, "You taught me how to sit again." "Thank you." Tears blurred his eyes. He smiled and whispered, "Looks like I wasn't the only one healing." The next morning, he brought 2 flowers. One for Lily, and one for the girl who unknowingly brought life back. He placed them on the bench and said softly, "Grief ends the day you start sharing it." The lake shimmered like it agreed. He sat back and looked up at the sunrise. "Thank you for staying this long," he said quietly. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without pain. The camera would pull back now if this were a film, showing the bench, the lake, and 2 flowers dancing in the wind. If someone you love is gone, tell their story, say their name out loud, because memories fade only when we stop speaking them. And if this story touched you, share it with someone who still sits by their own lake, even if it's just in their heart. Subscribe to Lullcore for more stories that feel like memories.